Yes, this once again is your soul brother Talib. Uh, this about my second rap video that I'm do today. Well, this evening, and it's gonna be a little longer, but it's gonna not be that long, but it's gonna be longer than the first one I did earlier. But however, I must say that you know, in light of what's going on right now around the world with this COVID-19 pandemic situation, and also, with, of course, you know, the usual routine of racist cops, fatally shooting black people in the streets of America. Once again, like a situation of that nature just took place. I just found out in Austin, Texas. Um, I mean, we keep reminding you from this platform, which is Operation Exodus Mississippi, well as Reality Temple on Earth, that as long as you stay comfortable and remain comfortable in your slave-like oppression, this is what's gonna happen to you. As long as you keep listening to these docile, turncoat Negro leaders and sellout, leaders, that don't have your best interests, and these organizations that claim to have your best interests but don't, and the organizations that flat out don't have your best interests, long as you keep on depending on that as a form of leadership and waiting on that to help redeem your self in terms as a people go and to redeem us all together as far as our condition in this country is concerned, then you just gonna be waiting, just like we've been waiting over 400 years to be free and still ain't free, especially like many of us think, you know. So, I mean, and I also want to point out something too, because I had commented just under another video that I just got done seeing on social media, in relations, to police killing our people in the streets and stuff, which that situation that just happened today in Austin, Texas, was one of the main focal points of, because of the title of the video, it had shown as far as along with the title of the video anyway, because of the breaking report that came out. But neither here or less, the situation with that is how the brother was breaking down with Willie D on his video channel about how, this thing with policing black people started in the so-called post-slave era when Jim Crow started and all that, which Sister Michelle Alexander wrote a book about a few years ago, and did also a PBS documentary about as well, on the basis of her book that she had wrote about it, which I exactly tongue-tied forgot the name of course, but I had purchased the book anyway, and okay, I think it was Mass Incarceration the new Jim Crow or something like that. But anyway, it was that book there, and she had based that documentary off that book she had wrote concerning that. Well, that's true, and this is what we still find ourselves, caught up in, or as they would say in religion, we find ourselves caught up in the rapture of, being up under the constant threat of racist brutality and policing and racial profiling and all this kind of stuff. But yet we know this and we steady complaining, but we ain't doing nothing about it effectively to put an end to it, you see. So this is one reason why I don't even get caught up in social media or, you know, uh hangouts or live video dialogues about this like I used to, because it's a waste of time. It really is. I realize the majority of black people in this country is not going to do nothing about our present condition and circumstances as a people, as far as us being at the bottom of every other ethnicity in this country. So, I have kind of decided to take sort of a sabbatical anyway, away from, dialoguing with a bunch of people on social media that really don't care, to really do anything, but just get on social media and just talk and chit chatter, you know. And when I first got on the platform with this other brother that I'm on the platform with, that I speak from, I basically let him know that I saw this as a waste of time, far as waiting on a bunch of Negroes, whether they say 44 plus million or however many of us it is in this country, to do something about our condition. And if anything is going to happen, it's going to have to take a few small number of us to get it, started, like they did with the civil rights movement. And of course, everyone else then benefited off it. See, but with the Operation Exodus Mississippi platform that we come from and that we've been speaking from and have been proposing for over the past couple of years, it ain't gonna be about just anybody benefiting off of this if this ever gets off the ground, which might be too late. But if it ever gets off the ground, everybody is not gonna benefit off it. If you didn't get out there and do what you were supposed to do to make this happen, far as us, taking control of a state like Mississippi so our people can have a safe haven from police brutality, which that would clearly address that sort of type of problem, as well as other issues that affect us all around as a people in this country, then you just gonna be out of luck, how they say. Or we gonna have a big memorial with your name on the wall, with just like with many other names, you know which we gonna call the wall of shame, where it's gonna be so bad is that you ain't gonna even want to be in the state of Mississippi, you know or anywhere else that we will choose to deliberate ourselves, as far as setting up a safe haven so we could be protected from the racists, because that's all we want. We ain't talking about taking over the country. We ain't talking about even taking over the state. We just talking about taking control of the politics of a state, which is something that legally could be done. Like someone say, just like what happened with the Mormons in the state of Utah. They control everything in that state politically. That's why they call it the Mormon state. For those of you that don't know, you should do your research on that. you know. But like I said before, I mean, we can, you know, obtain a safe haven for ourselves where we will be separated from all this, racial injustices that we've been trying to escape and that we've been trying to fight to get out of for so long, that we've been rather struggling to get out of for hundreds of years, you know. And this is the thing, if we can't do that at least, then we need to, leave America altogether, you know. I mean, it has been some of us that have individually done it, and we have taken our families and ourselves and moved on to other places, whether it was on the continent of Africa, or whether it was even to Europe, or whether it was even to Asia or South America, or wherever we find ourselves to have expatriated to, I mean, that'll be our next course. If we cannot unite, well, we have a place here in America for all of us as a dark-skinned descendants of slaves to, seek refuge in outside the rest of America from all this racism and brutality that we face and suffer every day as a people. Now here it is. We got another issue even with this COVID-19 thing, which most of us is being affected by this more than anybody else. And of course, for those of you that know, and for us that don't know, well, we need to figure it out. But I have to say this. I don't need to go no further into why. It's a general public knowledge of why we suffer the worst at the end of the stick when it comes to not just COVID-19, but everything else when it's a crisis that's facing this nation. So like I said before, we've seen this to know enough of what we got to do, but because of fear, because of disunity, and because of lack of understanding and ignorance, of course, and because we're so warped up into these religions and so distorted mentally by the ideology of these religions, and also, so divided up, among ourselves over these religions and crazy ideologies, is why we will continue to remain in our, condition as presently as it is, where we find ourselves at the bottom of everybody else in this country, So like I said before, I really don't have too much time right now to even focus on that. Like someone told me recently, which was good advice, I need to worry about myself. I need to worry about myself. Just like Brother Gary Cool Cutter said on a recent live hangout that we were on together with Brother Angel Snup 7 and Sister Noble Levine, who also speaks from the platform that we speak from, and you could go watch that video. It was just recent. I forgot the title of it, but I got to take his advice because it made a lot of sense. I have to work on improving my own life quality to better myself instead of wasting my energy on a bunch of niggas that ain't gonna do nothing but just sit up and talk all day on social media, complain, whimper like children. When you know what you got to do, but you ain't willing to do it because you so divided. You can't keep your emotions in check because you don't like somebody because you don't agree with them or what they say. or you don't like the way they look, or you don't like them because they are homosexual, or you don't like them because they're a Christian or a Muslim, or you don't like them because they are mixed, or they got mixed children, or because they even, courting or in a relationship with a Caucasian or whatever. Come on. Who cares? We are all oppressed people. We are all descendants of slaves born in America that have been oppressed so long and that is still being, dealt with the worstest of the worst when it comes to any group of people in this country that's being racially discriminated against in all types of forms of ways, when we have no protection around us to protect us from this, we don't have no way to protect our women and children. We haven't come up with no way to protect our women and children, but yet we want to call ourselves men while we sit back and these racists blow our women and children away. You see? So how can you even call yourself a man? When you don't have no defense against that. How can we call ourselves men and women when we just sit back and watch our children like Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown get blown away to their early graves? Come on. How can we call ourselves men and women? I mean, for real? We still don't understand what a man and woman really is. The real man is the same one that had us on them plantations picking cotton. It's the same one that's running this whole show. That's the man. How in the hell can we call ourselves a man? We don't even have the inclination of even ever knowing what a man is with the position we have been in as a people all our lives in this country. But yet we want to run around swearing up and down we're men. Just because we running around oppressing some woman in the streets by fronting on another brother over some BS. That's not a man. Just because you in a gang, just because you been to the penitentiary. I've seen plenty of men in there get turned out. Even the ones that look tough or thought they was tough, I've seen them get turned out. Okay? And when they get out here in the streets in front, in front of these women and try to impress them like they all that ain't nothing. That's why I just sit back and laugh. But you want to call yourselves men. Why these cops running around here blowing your head off because they see you a Negro and that's all they see you as an N-word, and you ain't got no defense against that. But you quick to blow your brother's head off in the streets that's not in a position to do you the same way that the racist pecker would do you, because you could get away with that if you don't get caught. You see, especially you could basically get away with that. But try killing one of these cops and see what happened. But you ain't got the intelligence to do nothing to protect yourself against that without being a criminal. is ways we can protect ourselves against these injustices without breaking the law. And one thing is us getting control of a state politically, which will put us in a position to where we can protect ourselves from this racist and from the injustices that comes along with racism, whether it's gerrymandering, racial profiling, mass incarceration, and all the other stuff that comes along with that, housing discrimination, job discrimination. We ain't got to worry about that if we set up a safe haven where we can, obtain vast, limitless opportunities than we could ever know. Because without that, we will always remain stagnated as a people, not able to really move forward because of our condition under this same races that won't let you go but too far, as they say. And that's the reality of it. So like I said, if you're not willing to take control of a state where we can have a safe haven and then take control of some more states after we take control of Mississippi, take control of Alabama, Georgia, Florida, where we can have a safe haven away from this crap. Take political control, where we even have the local state National Guard on our side, in our favor, especially if the federal government talking about making a move on us. We have other countries. We'll be in a position to have other countries to back us, other countries that we will have, diplomatic relations with as a state. A lot of power comes along with having control of a state. And if we do it in the right, proper way, it will all be legal. It would not be breaking the law. It will be all legal, bindingly legal. But see, you don't think outside the box, as someone would say, because you don't have that. As you claim that supreme wisdom, that supreme knowledge, you don't have that real wisdom to get you to freedom. You just have that mythological wisdom or supreme wisdom, as they say, which ain't done nothing for us effectively. Because we still the N-word. And that's just the bottom line to that. I don't care if we got $1 million, $1 billion, yachts, mansions. I don't care what we got. Whatever resources we got in this country, financially as a people, that don't mean nothing. We still the N-word. And always know that until we put ourselves in a position where we will be quarantined and protected from this. Since people want to talk about quarantining in these times that we're facing right now, we as so-called Negroes in America really need to be quarantining ourselves from this racist. And that's the bottom line. Because even in the midst of this pandemic, we still getting our heads blew off because we the N-word. This is the reality of the situation. And we need to wake up and realize and understand that. And stop playing games. Get off them drugs. Get your mind right. But, of course, taking control of a state, that would fully address that problem too. So, I gotta kind of take that back because it don't matter if you on drugs, it don't matter if you drinking or none of that, that still ain't gonna change nothing or make any difference of how the racists look at you when it come to you being the N-word. Even if you don't drink or do drugs, you still gonna be looked upon as the N-word. So, once we take control of a state, that all fizzle itself out anyway. Once we start changing and living in a new way, because we got a state behind us, to help us more to be able to, to adopt a new way of life, and a new way of lifestyle, then, that all come into play in the process itself on in to the way it's supposed to be, But like I said, at the end of the day, we need to really get our minds right, though. We need to get ourselves in a position where we can get our minds really right and where we can really think and be creative, because we do have so many talents. Even our ancestors had talents. And we could take what we learned from them and use that to be even creative, to carve out a new existence and a new reality for ourselves right here in America, where we've been known as nothing but the N-word and as slaves all our lives. That's what time it really is, All that other stuff, far as like I said, religion, or whether you gonna vote for Democrat or Republican, that don't mean nothing either. As we can see as a people, that ain't really meant nothing for us anyway. All our lives in this country, we still gonna be up under the same system that had our ancestors in slavery for over 300 years. So, what does it matter? It's all about us carving out a future for ourselves, And this is the right perfect time to even take advantage of this situation, This should really be, this situation should be bringing us together, considering the fact that we the most even worse affected by this pandemic as so-called Black Americans, who I preferably call people of soul, This is affecting us. It's killing us rapidly, But if we could take control of a state and change our condition in a better way and with more effectiveness to go with it, then we wouldn't have to worry about that. But like I said before, I just want to, come on here and, do a rant, just to let y'all know that, hey, our time right now may be up in terms of us having the chance to liberate ourselves, because of the fact that, we don't really know what could happen next. Look at this COVID-19 pandemic. Next thing you know, it might be martial law. They could be talking about marching us off the concentration camps. We've been warning you for these last few years that anything is subject to happen in America, especially because of world situations outside of this country as well as inside this country. Things could just change. And then What you gonna do? Because I mean, no matter what goes on in this country, we have to be reminded that we are at the bottom of everybody else. And that means a whole lot, you know? And this is the type of stuff that we have been warning you about. But yet it's been falling on deaf ears. Because all you want to argue about is on social media is how better your ideology or your religion is than the next person's ideology or religion. Or because your solution is better than somebody else's solution or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Which just simply don't make no sense. You know? And which ain't got either one nowhere. You know? Arguing with each other on social media, threatening each other on social media over a bunch of bull crap. You know? And all this old kind of stuff, especially because you don't agree with somebody's opinion. You know, so this is what it comes down to. You know, and then at that point, you know, or you don't, if you even take control of a state, you don't want to live over here because you don't want to be around this person here. You don't want to, you know, come on. First of all, you know, when you think about it, the way we living now in America, you can't control who your neighbor is. What if a homosexual live next door to you? What you gonna do? Force him out his apartment or his house or our house? I mean, come on. This is not the reality we're trying to, establish. And as religion call it, the new kingdom. Well, of course, this is not about religion, but I was just using that as a metaphor, you know. But as a new reality is much more better well put, you know. We're trying to create a new reality to where once we take control of a state and set up a new haven for ourselves, well, we could really be free, then we can move anywhere we want to. We ain't got to live next door to each other. We don't want to. We could go live on the other side of town, you know, but we ain't gonna force nobody else not to live where they gonna live. You know, just like you don't want no one doing to you. You know, that's not gonna happen. That ain't how things work. And see, those that disagree with what I'm saying, that's the problem. You know, because that's the reason why we can't even come together in the first place. Because of these internal feelings and emotions that's getting in the way of our, attempts to even try to bring us together on a common collective basis. And this is what the problem is with us. And this is why black people is going to keep being, like I say, in the position that we're in. I know I know I need to be worrying about myself, and that's what I am going to do. I am going to worry about myself. But because of my passion and my love for the concern of my people, I must keep on, speaking the way that I speak from this platform. But at the same time, like I say, I must put self-preservation first at all times as well. you know. But the reality of the whole situation is like this here. Just to get real with things even more is that I'm finding that at the same time, that there's a lot of us that ain't gonna make it. And people used to remind me of this when I was even in the conscious community. It's a lot of us that simply ain't gonna make it. Or as someone would say, make it to the promised land. It's many of us that's not gonna make it to the promised land. If we ever get to that promised land, metaphorically speaking, a lot of us is not gonna make it. And that's just the reality of it. And to be honest with you, in a lot of cases it couldn't happen to a better person. Because a lot of us, to be honest with you, and I ain't saying this, to wish nothing bad on no other person, but a lot of us put ourselves in a position to get destroyed. Because of our own self-destructive ways of thinking and actions, so, it's inevitable that a lot of us is not going to make it to the so-called promised land. Long as we keep doing what we doing, and that's the bottom line to it. So I really could care less more, as I've said before in other videos, about what happened to a lot of black people. And that's just the reality of it. Like when I was first paying attention more to these police shootings of black people around the country, like a few years ago, I heard about this police who killed a brother in Milwaukee. He killed the soul brother. And I come to find out this was another soul brother who was a police officer that went to school with this soul brother. And what the situation was that while he was pursuing this soul brother to arrest him, this soul brother was on his way to commit another crime against somebody else black. See, so at the end of the day, when the police killed him because of whatever went wrong in that situation, people wanted to riot and all this other carrying on. But this guy was finna go and commit a crime on another black person. See? And so, we got to take things in consideration like, hey, why should we concern ourselves with somebody every time a police shoot them or kill them? When you think about it, they was on their way to do to do the same thing to another civilian. More than likely that looked like him. So I mean, who cares? At the end of the day, who should care? And this is the reality of the whole situation. But people don't want to look at it like that because a lot of people still living foul and dirty themselves, that they don't want to face the reality for what it is. And I ain't trying to sound like I'm preaching or nothing, but I'm just saying the truth for what it is, We do a lot of things to each other, and then when other people do crazy stuff to us, especially if it's related to racism or whatever, we want to hoop and holler and riot and tear stuff up or whatever. But where's Black Lives Matter when we killing each other over gang set tripping and all this other stupid stuff that we be killing each other over? Where's Black Lives Matter at then? Where's Al Sharpton at? Where's Louis Farrakhan at? You see? Where's these so-called black messiahs or black leaders that we got in the community? Silent. That's exactly where they at. And it's called silence. So this is what we got to understand and realize what we're up against as a people. We have nobody to defend us. We must as they say, pick ourselves up by the bootstrap and defend ourselves by creating a new reality for ourselves, not waiting on reparations, you know, because that definitely ain't going to be given to us. That's been proven over time and time again. Even Bernie Sanders told the ADOS movement, you know, a while ago, last year sometime, that, you know, that slave reparations was not up for discussion, you know. So I mean, I mean I mean, as you can see, the establishment that we're under politically do not care nothing about your so-called black reparations. We got to take it if we want it. And one way to do that is to unite and and come together collectively so we could carve out a new existence for ourselves. That's what that's all about. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing for us. Ain't no God gonna come from nowhere up in the sky. Ain't no spaceship or nothing gonna come from nowhere up in the sky to help make this happen. Like someone say, the help is at the end of your two arms. You know, and that's just the bottom line of that. You know, and if you don't want to accept that and be willing to take that route to help yourselves, then as it even say in the scriptures, God ain't gonna even help you. You don't want to help yourself, you know. So, I mean, for those of you that's in religion, I mean, you know, you ought to understand that little bit at least anyway. But I mean, you know, it's just the reality. You know, you gotta wake up. You know, you see what's going on around us every day in this world. You know, why we so divided among ourselves. You know, and of course, we know self-hatred got a lot to do with it. I mean, that's just the after effects of slavery. And even prior to slavery, you know, a lot of us had that hatred for self. Because that's the reason why we got in this situation to begin with. Because we were so full of self-hatred. Whether we sold each other into slavery or however we got into this position, it was a lot of self-hatred. Because remember, we existed as tribes, not only in the continent called Africa, we existed in tribes right here in North America. You gotta remember, you know, the European settlers called the original indigenous people in North America Negroes and Africans too. You know, so they just didn't use that title to refer to the dark-skinned people over in Africa. You know, and they also called those in the Caribbean that they encountered that were original indigenous people of them lands in the Caribbean. They even called them Africans and Negroes. You know, so like I said before, you know, I mean, we got to understand and realize that this was a global situation. It just wasn't, you know, when it come to the word Africa, we were referred to as Africans as well as Negroes right here. Because many of us existed right here in North America. Whether it was due to the continental drift, with many of us who did come over here from Africa during that time, or however we got here, it was many of us as tribes that were here and just about completely wiped out. That's why we can't trace our history, because of the indigenous dark-skinned tribes that was over here, because they wiped them just about completely out. You know, That's why they call us the lost people, you know, loss of knowledge and self. See, but neither here less with that. That's said and over and done with. It's all about what we gonna do about our condition and move on from there, and that's what that's all about. But with that said, I just wanted to, throw out a rant for a minute, and just go from there, and because I'm kind of getting tongue tied and tired anyway. But I just wanted to just throw that out there and just let you know that your brothers still want to see us do better. But if you don't, that's on you. That's all I could say about that. If you don't, that's on you. Because we may not have no chances left to turn this around. We may be headed for disaster. And with that said, peace.